Welcome to Bruins Overtime Live, presented by buyatoyota.com. For offers not seen on TV, visit buyatoyota.com. With Billy and Barry, I'm Sophia. 3-2 the final in favor of the Minnesota Wild, guys. In a game where we wanted to see a good response from the Bruins. We saw it in the first period, but it all kind of went Minnesota's way after that.
Second period was awful. That's just what it was. It was the complete story of the game, and the Bruins tried to push at the end, nowhere near enough. Second period was their demise in this game. They looked, for a team that looked much faster than they did the previous night in the first period, all of a sudden they looked much slower in the second period. It was the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde or split personality team from first to second period, and that completely shifted the game.
Yeah, they're in a real bad spot right now mentally as a team. You can see that they can't sustain an effort for 60 minutes. We knew at the beginning of the year when they got off to a great start, we kept talking about how good the goaltending was. The goaltending again tonight was great. It gave them an opportunity in that third period to come back, but if it wasn't for that spectacular goaltending, they wouldn't have had a chance. And for a team an organization that prides themselves on team defense and structure, that's how you win games and how you keep moving in the playoffs. Those are the teams that win. They need, as Brick used the perfect word, it's a reset time. This break comes, they've got to try and regroup and get back to basics. Because right now, to me, they're not playing a Bruin style of hockey.
Yeah, no. Basically, these games are a lump of coal. That's what they were. There you go. Trying to be festive.
Very fitting for the festival.
You got mine, right? I gave you the coal.
There wasn't enough coal I could give you.
Well, the Bruins, December not being their best month this season, of course. Let's take a look at their last 8 games. So 2-3-3 with a -8 goal differential. And as you mentioned earlier in the intermissions, their penalty kill especially kind of going downhill. Outshot by their opponent in 7 of their last 8 games. Now, Morgan Geekie's couple breakaway chances ended up scoring his 5th in this one.
Yeah, he's going to end up getting a real nice pass after a good effort by Heinen and Frederick behind the net. Right here, F1 and F2 get up the forecheck. Heinen's going to get it, patiently waits for Geekie to stay between or above the very strong sweater, Minnesota Wild. And he ends up getting it. One times it snap past Marc-Andre Fleury, and the Bruins feel like they have a little bit of glimmer. They do. I mean, they're only down a goal, and they got
kind of an old-fashioned basic goal, right? Yeah. Get the puck in deep behind your opponents, get the defense to turn around, get some bodies in, win some one-on-one battles, and you get rewarded.
We talked about that, and you and I were doing our own little predict the game back then. Yeah. We talked about how many more shots do we think they're going to get. They ended up getting maybe unofficially 2 more shots.
Right, gave them a chance to come back, but they couldn't.
That was it. They couldn't muster anything after that. Geekie had another good effort doing his thing. He had those 2 breakaways. I think he'd like to maybe have that move back in the first breakaway. Maybe
what do you have? He had 6 or 7 shots.
At least 6, right? Getting on 7. But so that was good. But again, nowhere near enough good in the second and third period. A ton of good in the first.
Yes, and a lot of good for the Wild in the second and third period as Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov scored again against the Bruins in this one.
Yeah, and we talk about this line. It seems like since Tuesday, Billy, this line is good. And boy, off a set play, you can see the Bruins get caught with 3 guys high on a give and go, and all of a sudden Kaprizov's able to get that pass from Goligoski in the slot. But again, Billy, right high. 1 pass beats 3 guys, and then they leave them. And as we've been talking about, one of the very soft areas for the Bruins that they controlled at the beginning of the year is in that slot area. Yeah. It's been very soft.
They seem to be chasing the puck an awful lot now, Barry. And that, to me, says desperate. As we take a look at their last 2 games against the Bruins, these guys,
they're good, Billy, huh?
Oh, my God,
what a good line.
Again, I hate to remind you, but you're without Zuccarello. You're also without Hartman, by the way, tonight. Yeah. Hartman's a good player for these guys, too, but Kaprizov, Eriksson, Matt Boldy quiet as far as points go in these last 2 games against the Bruins. You still hear his name a lot, but check out, 20 minutes plus each per game for each of these 3 guys. Ek is having a Selke type year, Barry. He's going to probably be a finalist for it, at least it appears as of right now. But Kaprizov, who was struggling earlier under Dean Evason, couldn't find his way.
He's happy now.
He's finding his way now.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, and as if you take a look at their numbers, it tells a story. But on the ice, the eye test too, you could just see them all over it.
Yeah, they are.
The Boston Bruins. But these are their power play chances and leading ultimately to Marcus Foligno.
Yeah, in this situation, just as the operative word that Billy just used is chasing. Watch the Bruins moving all over the place. They're not in a controlled situation. And, you know, Foligno didn't get a power play goal here, but it was right at the end. It might as well have been a power play goal. And again, beginning of the year, these are the types of penalties that the Bruins were killing off. But look, they just get so spread out, so gapped. Look at too many goals, as Brick had talked about, in the blue paint area. You're not blocking out, you're not winning a battle, and you're not being physical enough in that area, and you're being out-muscled.
Out-muscled.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Lindholm get out-muscled in the first. You're going to see Carlo here not check. He's watching the puck, and Foligno completely. It's hard for a man as large as Foligno to go stealth. I like to use that term, you know, but he comes from behind to the front, times it perfectly, bullet pass through the top of the paint, puts it into the net. Carlo can't lift the stick. So yeah, the watching of pucks and the lack of boxing out have been completely noticeable lately. So I hope you're right. I hope Brick's right using that term reset. I hope, but you know, it's a big reset. And you know, the sky feels like it's completely falling. It's not there just yet, but again, Barry, let's go back to what we talked about much earlier in the year. Were they 13 or 14, 1-3 good? No. Were they 0-3, 20, 17 goals against? Bad, probably not. But now we're back to, I know they have a couple of OTLs in here, but we're down to 4 games in a row right now. So do you know what this team is yet? I don't yet now.
No, I don't. And I don't also know. I mean, I know the penalty killing is not nearly as good as it has been the last few years, and especially the beginning of the year.
37
this
not
year.
being
But the
enough.
other thing to me being very obvious is the lack of push from offense from the back end. I mean, Faber tonight for them, very effective. Played a lot of minutes and controls the pace of play, the transition of play. He's the guy that kind of is their quarterback back there. The Bruins haven't been getting that from their D as well.
No, and sticking with the plays by the defensemen, they're leaving the middle of the ice open, guys, which allows Minnesota to do their thing.
Well, it's not just Minnie, though, here. It's just the Bruins in general. When the puck gets to the outside and teams are going low to high against them, look at how they're not able to close quickly enough. And before, their details with their sticks were great. Their anticipation was excellent. But right there, low to high, spin it around the top, work it around. And now you've got to get back to the house. You got to get back to the middle of the ice to protect. Here you go again, the accordion out.
Big gap.
The gaps, like they're chasing out only to have the middle of the ice open. I guess it's striking because we're not used to seeing it.
Right.
You know, but now we're seeing it. So let's see. Maybe these 3 days off will allow all of them to not think about hockey for that time.
You know, when you look
back.
when you get to an end of a season, you look back and you kind of measure how successful you were. It's usually if you can avoid the long losing streaks. Instead of, 5 to 7 games and you keep it 2 or 3, it makes for a good season. But you start having a couple of these long ones. Where are we on now? We're on 4. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, it's a tough hole to dig out of.